We are here at the Right Online and Defending the American Dream Summit in Orlando, Florida, organized by Americans for Prosperity Foundation, with another fellow Texan, Susan Combs, our Comptroller. What brought you to Orlando today?
Well, I really wanted to talk about government transparency at all levels, state, local, etc., and what this means for you as the average taxpayer, whether you're in Texas or Ohio or Illinois or Florida, in order to have you take control of your financial destiny. What we've seen is that if you don't know how much you're spending, you have no idea whether you're spending it efficiently. And if you're not, you have no idea how to find a solution. 6.5 years ago, the fourth day on the job, I put up on our website all of the spending of my agency down to the pencil level. It took me to the fall to put up all state spending. What I then turned my attention to was local debt and local spending. We discovered that there's a very large gap between population growth, for example, or school enrollment, and the amount of debt service and spending. And this was, of course, prompted by a lot of the national conversation, where are we going with the national debt limit, etc. Tried to get a bill passed this session, was unsuccessful, and I thought there's no way they're going to keep us down, so we launched a website called Tax Transparency Now, and it's a hashtag Tax Transparency Now, and it's to give sort of heart to people that says, yes, you can take back one city, one county, one school district, one hospital district, one governmental entity, which is taking your money one at a time. But you have to be engaged, you have to be empowered, and you have to be educated. And my goal is to give you the tools about how to do it. We're going to have webinars up there on how to read an annual financial report, how to ask questions. There's forms you can download on how to sort of aggregate the amount of debt that you've got. School construction is particularly interesting. Ran into a buzzsaw. We found there was a very cute little pre-K, pre-elementary school on the east side of Austin, which I now call fondly Taj Mahal for tots. It's about $40,000 per child, whereas you can build a pre-K for about $13,000 or $14,000. And there was a lot of irritation when I asked about the cost, because local debt is, school debt is about 1/3 of all local debt in the state of Texas, largely fueled by construction. So I hope that today in Florida, folks get the idea that you can yourself be kind of a rabble-rouser back home. And all you have to do is get 3 or 4 like-minded folks and go get them.
Getting back to the local debt issue, I know in Texas, the overall state government is, they've got the rainy day fund, and there's always debates on whether to tap into that, but the local and state levels are not spending quite as responsibly. Do you think that there's anything that, what specifically would you like to see to maybe improve that, and are any of the candidates for state office right now adequately addressing that issue?
The real issue is not so much, is a particular form of debt good or bad? It's going to be very dependent on where you are. It's, do you even know? And when we got our bill out of the Senate, that every mayor, every county judge, everybody did not want you to know. The mayor of one of our largest cities said if the folks here knew they already were on the hook for over $1 billion, they'd be very upset. From the perspective of statewide officials, it's really going to have to be down at the local level. I would ask your local state legislator, in whatever state you're in, I'd ask them, did you support the bill? Do you understand that when a mayor or a superintendent calls you, that's one voice out of 150 or 60,000 people you represent? So don't let one person sort of modify your concern for your entire constituency.
On the issue of taxes, part of the fuel for the economic engine that is Texas is the low taxes and regulation. Do you think that there's areas where the taxes could be lowered or simplified?
I think again, it's our margins tax is actually pretty low, relatively speaking, and they did a nice thing this last session. They made a $1 million permanent exemption. I think the real question is the balance between property taxes in the local area. Texas has a lot of houses have a high property tax. The problem is that rising values. Your house goes up, the recession's over, market prices are up, and that hits the customer's pocketbook. But if you try to balance that against sales tax, you get some pretty anomalous things happening. You could end up with 16, 17, 18% sales tax. The key is always reduce and control spending. Spending, spending, spending. And again, I come back to why you have to have transparency. If you don't know and can't find out what you're spending or the rate of increase in debt, then you are not being empowered. And Houston, for example, has had some extraordinary proposals for debt. That would be, 150% hike, and it wasn't mentioned in the press. It takes a lot of digging, and sometimes the media doesn't even understand that if you have a 7 cent per $100 tax rate now, adding a nickel is not just a nickel. It's about a 65% hike. And you need to convert that nickel into a 65% hike to get a sense of the size of it.
One of the things that has been speculated about in the Texas political chatter is who's running for what office, if anybody's going to get into some of these races that are still shaping up. You want to say anything about what your plans are for the future?
Well, I announced in June that I was not running for re-election. And I've got about 16 more months in my day job, and I'm very excited about doing the things I'm doing, really talking about transparency on a national level. I mean, I feel like a sort of a combat warrior. My goal is that if we get people at the local level to get the tools, the energy, and the drive to take those back, maybe we can sort of turn the United States ship of state into a little better direction.
Okay, and then one last question. For people in other states that are looking to follow the Texas model, what resources would you direct them to look up, and what would you think, give them as advice to pursue?
I'd say, first of all, check your open record statute. Find out how hard or easy it is for you to send a request to get information. Secondly, if it's not that good, go legislative and beef it up. Thirdly, you're going to have CFOs, comptrollers, treasurers. Those are going to be your best allies because they have to publish a lot of information. Give them the tools that they need to be your best advocates. And of course, bloggers, anybody to get that local grassroots sort of what I call sort of sagebrush rebellion. Everybody needs to get fired up.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.